Welcome back for another episode of Autodidactica. I am Glenn Clark, one half
Uh,
your host.
And I'm Matt Paul, the other half.
This is this is a sorry, I'm kind of all right, so I'm in pain. I've had a painful
Tell
I've
him,
had
Glenn.
I have had pain. I got hurt at work and I even had to call in today. So I decided to do something perfectly legal and like Delta Delta 8 gummies. Delta 8 gummies. Delta 8 gummies. If you're watching on YouTube, here's the jar. Perfectly legal. I did not expect them to kick me like this. They
He's hopped up
so
on
I'm
on on grass hydros.
right. I am medicated beyond my expectations for this episode. So
It'll be interesting.
it will be interesting.
I did a
And
shot of whiskey, so I could sort of
right,
be on par.
right. You're gonna catch up. Just catch up and
Yeah, yeah.
there'll be a topic in here somewhere. Right. So last week we talked about
Last
drugs.
episode.
Last episode, right? I'm still trying to get
We're still
used to.
transitioning out of doing a weekly thing.
Yeah, because we're monthly now. Dutifully monthly. A new episode just went up yesterday as of this recording in podcast form. Um, right. So we talked about should all drugs be legal? I
That
mean,
was a good one.
I should have done this for that episode
Yeah, right.
if I had known.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Ended up having a lot more to say than I thought we would, as we
Right?
normally do.
Right.
Yeah. So last episode, should all drugs be legal? And here we are now
Hmm.
doing the legal drugs.
Doing legal drugs and podcasting.
Yep. We like to plan things
Right.
and then have them utterly not go as planned.
Right. This will be one of those this entire episode will be one of those things. So, wait, what?
No, I was gonna take the reins.
Oh, I mean, go for it. I was too. We don't want to yank the horse's head off.
Yeah, no, that would be bad.
It would.
Especially considering this week's topic. Thank you for
Oh,
the amazing
oh, oh,
segue.
right.
This week's topic is the personhood of animals,
The
aka not
personhood.
yanking the head off the horse. Um,
All
so yeah, we are talking about the personhood of animals, and shortly before the recording of this podcast, I had to corner Glenn and ask, what do you mean by that? With this being
right.
one of his podcasts and me being vegan, I can think of a few things to go with the personhood of animals, but I had to corner Glenn, who is also vegan as of a year and a half, a little more than a year and a half ago, almost two, um,
Ouch.
of being vegan, and be like, what do you mean by the personhood of animals? So
Mhm.
why don't you let the audience know what you mean by that, and we'll get into it
Oh,
further.
jeez. Like, I feel like the kid who just got called up to the front of the class to deliver his book report, but
After
his,
watching the movie.
yeah, after watching half the movie, and fast forwarding through the rest and getting the gist of it, I'm just walking up to the front of the class, prepared to BS my way because yeah, the personhood of animals. It's like legally, I can't talk. I told you what I thought it meant.
Yeah.
Yo, this is kicking my ass.
Yeah, so
um,
as you gonna take it, you got this.
I'm not fit to drive.
Yeah,
I
give me your keys. Give
all
me your keys.
right, all
Yeah.
right. Okay, so the personhood of animals legally, there have been cases all over the world. Um, arguing that certain animals have inherent rights that go with personhood, like to
Like I'm a person. If you kill
right.
me,
Hmm.
then that creates a problem in our
Right.
society
Right.
because I, as a person, have inherent rights,
Hmm.
and you
Right.
know,
And you have the right to have those rights represented legally by a guardian or yourself. Um, and so they're saying like a dog, if a dog is granted legal personhood, then the dog can have representatives go to court for it, to argue for its rights, that it's entitled to having personhood. Um, I don't know.
right?
I'm
No, I mean,
moonwalking, so
yeah, no, you're good because I mean, I like the term personhood of animals
mhm,
because it adds a layer of complexity to the what I perceive this topic to be almost synonymous with is, the animal rights movement, of
mhm,
which being vegan is a huge part of, the animal rights movement. Some people just do it for health, but I would
right.
go out on a limb. I don't have any stats on this, sorry, stats guy lets you down, but I would go out on a limb and say that the main reason that people go vegan is probably ethical reasons,
Mhm,
a
right.
stand for animal rights. I would argue, or I would surmise that less people do it for just health reasons. A large portion of them do, but um, like me personally, I didn't go. I started off as a vegetarian. I was vegetarian from 2013 to 2016.
Mhm.
No, actually 2013 to 2015. 2015, the end of 2015, I went vegan. Um, but I did not start off with just, go animals. No,
Right.
to be honest, my story is not that profound or anything like that because I went vegan for a girl basically, or
Right.
vegetarian for a girl. It was all like out of respect. When I was hanging out with her, I ate vegetarian,
Mhm.
and then I started hanging out with her more and more and more, and so I started basically becoming vegetarian. And I was young and impressionable, and I got a kick out of the superiority complex that it gave me, and I'm better than everyone else because I'm vegetarian, and
Mhm.
I was one of those militant vegetarians, and then slowly, like as I learned more and more, and it became like, because I just realized one day, like I spent so much time with this girl, and then I went on like a family vacation, and I was about to eat a sandwich that I had made for myself, it was like a turkey, cheese, mayonnaise sandwich just out there on the lake, just a basic sandwich.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, huh, I think this is the first time that I've eaten meat in like a month and a half.
Mhm.
I'm not going to eat this. And I gave it to my brother. And I just ate like a mayonnaise bread sandwich. And then later on, I went to like Brahms, surprisingly,
Mhm.
had like vegetarian options in there, like in their little food store section, their little like corner market section. They had some Amy's meals, which Amy's is exclusively vegetarian. Some of their products are vegan too,
Right.
but yeah, then I continued on and I started learning more and more about what it means to be a vegetarian, what it's doing. I really liked I was really attached to the environmental side. And then slowly and surely, it became more and more about the animals
Mhm.
and the personhood of those animals. And like, you see this particular girl, she went vegetarian on her own after seeing the videos
Right.
that, people talk
Like
about that turned them vegetarian and stuff like that.
things like Food Inc.
Yeah. and just PETA videos, PETA being what
Mm.
it is, we won't go into that, but the PETA videos of the factory farms and things like that, and
Right.
the mistreatment of
Oy.
animals, and it's brutal. It's
Hmm.
brutal what happens in those places, and there is no semblance of personhood in most of those places.
Right.
I've become more cultured over time. One of my best friends is literally a farmer now, or
Right.
more accurately a rancher.
Uh-huh.
But he lives on land. He is a hunter.
Hmm.
He raises chickens for slaughter and eggs. He has cattle for some reason. I assume he's going to eat one of them one day.
Hmm.
He doesn't have
No,
very
that's what
many.
he says.
He's not a cattle rancher by
Right.
any means. I think he has 3 or 4 cows.
Uh-huh.
One of them who has just recently had a calf. So I don't
Mm.
know what he's got him for. Probably gonna eat
But
him one day.
he told
But
me he was gonna eat them.
yeah, he is not the problem
See.
because he respects his animals. The
Uh-huh.
lack of personhood comes from having you know 6,000 cows and then just lining them up for slaughter and then just bolt to the brain
Right.
next,
Just
next,
and
next,
they
next.
and that they never get to live as cows. Like it's a complicated issue because where do you draw the line on what animal's personhood entitles them to not be eaten?
Right.
And
Because what I wrote down
legally, and
here
because
is
prey animals, how
get
do you
eaten.
there and different countries have different ideas about what is a prey animal. Like in
Right.
America, you wouldn't look at a dog as prey,
Right.
but
Right.
not all countries see it the same. And India would not look at cows as prey, but arguably, I would say in the wild they are.
Yeah, no, what I had written down was you know, you say personhood of animals, you can also rewrite that as personhood of non-humans, as
Right,
in,
right.
defining animals as just being non-human, and there are several different hierarchies to
Uh-huh.
that.
Right.
Because, is an insect ever going to get rights? Doubtful.
Right.
Like
Because
there's a certain
like will if
threshold of
we qualify
intelligence.
you as a pest,
Right,
we can't live with mosquitoes all up in our house.
right,
Um that's bad for health, and we can't. How would you sleep with bugs all over you? They're pests. Um but yeah, like then you get on there's a gray area of what is a mouse or a rat. Is that a
right,
pest or is that a pet?
right.
And some are pets and some are pests. And what are the laws on how you treat a rat legally if it has personhood?
Right, absolutely.
Like,
And that's a huge part of the animal rights movement as well, is animal testing.
right.
The primary animals used for that are, rats, mice, and
Hmm.
bunnies. And then, you get more extreme, and like there have been laws passed. Like I don't even know if you can still use monkeys.
Hmm.
I'm not up to date on that,
I'm not
but
sure. Everything I read about their in advancements that they're coming out with, that they deal with rats.
right,
I never read about they tested this on a chimp. It's always a
right,
rat, and rats are genetically very, very close to humans.
right,
Weirdly.
yeah. And so, I mean, when you're talking about the personhood of those things, it's there's a line that needs to be drawn somewhere, and how do we determine where that line gets drawn?
Right.
It's a complicated subject, and so to your point on that we made in our brief discussion before the recording of this episode.
Hmm.
We were talking about like a family pet, like how does Glenn Clark's dog Doobie rank into our social hierarchy? Who's representing them? Do they have rights? And there are several scenarios
Right.
you can draw from that. where you feel like it's almost an injustice. Um, like one of my friends when I was in high school, her dog almost got killed by the police, and you know, property destruction when it comes to police raids and stuff like that is already sort of screwed up.
Hmm.
Like, if the cops chasing a criminal and they smash into your car, who the hell pays for that? And hope you had insurance, because if you don't, you're going to jail. Like,
Hmm.
because you didn't have insurance. That's what insurance is for, is when we're chasing a criminal and we smash into your car. So the criminal's not
Right.
going to pay for anything. But so she got swatted, like her family got swatted.
Hmm.
Somebody in her neighborhood like reported them for like dealing mass drug deals or something, just because they didn't like them.
Hmm.
And SWAT team shows up, kicks down the door, and is about to shoot their dog if they cannot get the dog under control, because the dog sees it as invaders in our house.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I mean, there's been plenty of cases where the police do shoot the dog.
Right.
And where, who's representing that dog? Where's the legal consequence of
Hmm.
killing a family member, as most people would view their pets?
Right. And then it depends on like, was the dog like what are the laws regarding intruders, and do the police ever count as intruders? Like, so if the dog were a human that couldn't be gotten under control, who was like menacing and threatening, bearing a weapon, the dog has the teeth, and threatening to use it, like, could the cops shoot that human, and would that make it okay to shoot the dog? Because it's essentially the same thing, even with legal personhood.
Yep, absolutely. That's the line right there.
Hmm.
And like when your dog bites somebody or
Hmm.
does something to them, how legally responsible is the dog?
Right.
How much can they be held accountable for said
Hmm.
actions, whatever they may be?
Right.
And oftentimes the dog is sentenced to death.
Oh, I know. And it's like, if
And
you looked at them as mentally handicapped humans or toddlers, because some of them, like dogs, have the intellectual and emotional capacity of a human 2 to 3 year old, depending on the breed. Um, so if you look at them as legally 3 years old or unable to develop beyond the capacity of a 3 year old, like, how do we handle cases with humans who are in that condition? Like mentally disabled humans who need to be represented. Like, I mean, that's one place to start, like looking at what these laws would look like, is if they're people, if dogs are people and people are people, how do we treat the people who are like, unable to represent themselves?
yeah,
Like, or,
yeah,
people in nursing homes who've completely lost their mental capacity are still people. They still are entitled to be legally represented based on that, have their interests represented.
yeah. Using dogs is a very slippery slope, just because
Mm-hmm.
dogs have knives basically on their person at all times.
Right, weapons, they're
they
armed.
they are armed. And so it becomes a complex issue when you're talking about like law enforcement and stuff, because typically law enforcement has the right to use force to suppress force.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so like even if they are like having a psychotic episode or something, like a human, if a human's like having a psychotic break, you know
Right.
forgot to take their medication and they're now waving a handgun around a neighborhood,
Right, and
or
threatening to use it
or
loudly.
even a knife, what do you do? And they're lunging at you, law enforcement. What do you
Mm-hmm.
do? And
Right.
you do what you got to do, and
Yeah.
subdue the danger.
Mm-hmm.
And so that becomes, tricky. But then you can bring up other examples where we're talking about like herbivores or, just non-threatening non-humans,
Like a turtle.
like a turtle, who has essentially no rights.
Hmm.
We determine everything for them. Including, like if you talk about like marine life,
Hmm.
we steal all their food to feed
Right.
our masses because we like to eat fish. We don't all have to eat fish, but we certainly do like eating fish.
Hmm.
Some local populations around the globe depend on the ocean, so they're very careful to, not overfish and
Hmm.
things. But commercial fishing has, just recently, this is actually a pretty good example. Pat myself on the back. Um, Orca whales
Uh-huh.
are, sinking
Oh
boats
yeah.
because they are catching on that humans are the cause for their mass, uh, loss of prey. Humans are taking
Right.
too much,
Hmm.
and they're not entirely able to distinguish fishing boats from just recreational boats.
Right. That's what's scary. They're just, they've come to the conclusion humans are bad.
Yeah,
And that's
and we
not
do not
all
want that.
orcas. Like it's kind of like because they're in different pods or whatever,
Pods, yep.
and like so because you have like if they have whales are a great one because if they have agency like we do, like a dolphin will pass the mirror test, you know, for sentience. And they have language, we know this. They have dialect.
They have so whales are a great example of personhood because they have agency, they have language, they have dialect, they understand that they are individual.
Right. They're they have the same intelligence and diversity as we do because you're going to have whales who have seen whales live for hundreds of years. There are whales swimming around with harpoons in them that are 200 years old.
Right.
So you're going to have whales with the stories of the whaling industry, which until like what 1903 or 4 was
Yeah.
the
Early
biggest
20th century.
industry,
Yeah.
biggest industry in the world. Um, Killing whales. So you're going to have those stories, but you're
Good
also
money,
going to
easy
have
money.
whales who've been able to go to humans for help in the wild
Yeah.
and get stuff cut off of them. You're going to have whales who've been beached and had humans push them back into the ocean. And they're
Yeah.
going to have those stories. So you're going to, it's going to, like, they'll be arguing about how to treat us the way that we argue about how to treat them. It's just that we're
Yeah,
more
they are right now.
technologically
Yeah.
advanced. Exactly. That's
Yeah, they're not having a Zoom meeting about it,
no.
but they are passing on knowledge to their children through their
Yeah.
their languages. And
Mm-hmm.
you know porpoises who don't live quite as long, like orcas and dolphins,
Mm-hmm.
don't remember whaling, but they
Right.
certainly remember
But the
fishing
stories may have
boats.
been passed down.
they
Yeah.
they know fishing
Yeah.
boats because they will go and snipe fish from the fishing boats.
Uh-huh.
They like on the northwest coast of the United States, coastal United States and Canada. Those, like during fishing season, spawning season, those pods of orcas, like they recognize it. They go to where the fishing boats are and just poach their catches. And
That's great.
sucks for the fishermen because they're
Uh-huh.
legally not allowed to do anything
Mm-hmm.
to those whales. And it's like the whales know it too. So they just steal their whole catches, undoing
Right.
fishing nets and things like that. You're getting into them, severing them,
Uh-huh.
and interfering with the catch to feed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But just like they're passing down, good knowledge, they also, yeah, one of the hypotheses behind the recent whale or
Mm-hmm.
orca aggression was that like 2 years ago, like an orca got like mauled by like a motorboat,
Mm.
and it now, like, I'm sure it's happened before too, and it's happened one too many times where an orca has either been maimed or killed
Mm-hmm.
inadvertently and accidentally by motor boats. And so they are now recognizing that these are bad. These have done
Mm.
things to us, and they are passing the information around to other pods. Because
Yeah.
while they do exist in separate pods, they do talk to each other when they pass each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't pass along all their secrets, but they pass along pertinent information.
Yeah.
Like humans are starting to get a little too aggressive with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, whales, man, I mean, just thinking about how much we destroyed, like the blue whale and the gray whale,
Mm-hmm.
how incredible would it be to like time travel back to like 1850 and get on like a cruise liner, like a modern day cruise liner, and go on a cruise and you
Yeah.
just see whales everywhere. Because that's
Right.
why it was such a good business up until, like you said, when they banned it, because we destroyed like 80% of the whale population.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you can still go out whale watching and see a whale. It's not necessarily rare. So just imagine what it would have been like at 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Whales everywhere. That would have been incredible. But that's a tangent. But
Well, those are good. That's what we're here
yeah,
for. That's what I'm here for. Tangents.
yeah, no. So those whales are interesting to talk about because they are widely considered to be the second most intelligent life on the planet,
Right.
is porpoises and whales.
Mm-hmm.
They have, like the beluga whale is incredibly intelligent. They have not only
Mm.
like the
Yeah.
capacity for different languages between their pods,
Uh-huh.
which is incredible to begin with, but they also have the capacity to learn other languages, like the story that's only recently come to light of a narwhal,
Mm-hmm.
close
Oh
relative to
yeah.
porpoises, who became stranded during a migration. When
Mm-hmm.
you're migrating across the northern ice caps, it's a dangerous migration because you can get frozen out,
Right.
where you are essentially stranded in a pond for
Mm-hmm.
a time. And this particular male narwhal got stranded and lost his way
Yeah.
and got picked up by a group of beluga whales. And then so researchers documented that strange occurrence. And then the next year, when they went out looking for that pod of beluga whales, they found the narwhal still with them, having adapted, and they can communicate still. They hunt
Nice.
together. He's just one of the gang. And that's incredible. That's an incredible display of intelligence
Mm-hmm.
that we are just crapping all over.
Right. Because they're treating them like quote unquote animals,
Animals.
but beasts. They're not they don't have rights, but
They're not worthy of
you know,
reverence.
and we've split up even the human race that way
Yeah.
historically, like who's actually a human,
Oh yeah.
like racial divides.
Yeah, we don't even
um
have to give any examples because everybody out there knows it.
yes, yeah, everybody in this time knows it, plus we did an episode or
Yeah.
12 about that. So um yeah, so like if we've acknowledged that we have set those lines a little too tight before, because we aren't arguing anymore that based on race, some humans are less human legally. So, like, we've acknowledged we were wrong. So, why is it always so hard to consider that we might be wrong again? That a lot of the animals we look at as just beasts are far, far more than that. They don't just walk around and wait to be eaten.
Right.
Like,
Or walk around mindlessly eating other things.
right. Um, and that's kind of how they're depicted.
Like
But
wolves in the United States are
mhm,
were almost completely eradicated
right,
because they're just, a dumb
vilified,
nuisance.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
And so now we've reintroduced wolves back into like Yellowstone
Hmm.
and, other national parks and stuff because, yeah, we eliminated one of North America's primary natural predators.
Hmm.
And lo and behold, that's really bad for the
Right,
environment.
right.
And so, yeah, human encroachment has, it's inevitable
Hmm.
that humans are going to encroach upon the wilds and try to
Right.
tame them as we've
Yeah, it's
done
what we
for
do.
our entire
Hmm.
existence. But simultaneously we cannot be completely unaware of the impact that we have on said environments. And that's why, as a vegan, not all
Hmm.
hunting is bad because we have to be natural predators now
Right, you have to
because
take the
we have
place of the predators that you removed from the
right
ecosystem.
because it is bad for the ecosystem for deer to become too plentiful
Hmm.
and then
There's
all
not enough
starve to
food.
death.
Yeah.
And just ethically speaking, those deer do get to live lives. There are tons of laws
Hmm.
that if you
Oh yeah.
kill the wrong deer and you get caught doing it, you can get in a
Uh-huh.
ton of trouble,
Right,
and
right.
they're
Yeah,
very
they're
strict about
very
that.
regulated. But in those deer, yeah, it's like, see, I'm not ethically opposed to um people hunting deer. As long as it's not like I'm ethically opposed to trophy hunting.
Right, right.
But if you're
um
actually using the parts of the deer, the meat, that's and then you're taking the place of natural predators that aren't there. It makes sense to me. And that's way more humane than
and
getting it.
factory farming.
Yeah, exactly. Than what they do to cows in those places.
Yeah,
Um,
cows can cry,
yes,
and there are
they have
cows
feelings.
fearing for their lives
Hmm.
in those factory farms, in those slaughterhouses.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, it's, when I was younger and more militant of a vegan,
Uh-huh.
I had this book idea that I'm sure a lot of vegans have already had, and there's probably a book out there regarding it, but it, basically it would be from the standpoint of like a human woman,
Mm.
um, and then aliens abduct mass amounts of the human race, and we are treated as we treat cows for slaughter, and it would, or pigs for
Yeah.
slaughter, because
Yeah.
pigs are arguably treated worse
Right.
because they're
And
filthy animals, quote unquote.
right, but in their minds, they're just as developed as human 3-year-olds.
Yeah, pigs are smarter than dogs.
Pigs are generally smarter than dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, and but we treat them like just filthy,
Uh-huh.
low creatures.
Right.
Hence why certain cultures won't even eat them
Mm-hmm.
because they are the lowest of the low creatures, and they're dirty. And I'm just like, they're smarter than your pup,
Right.
but yeah, they have no semblance of personhood.
Mm-hmm. None. And it's hard to find an opportunity. Like if there haven't been a ton of cases, because it's hard to find the opportunity to sue on behalf of a pig in a factory farm. Like
Right.
that's more like you have to just try to change laws in favor of um
And then hope that those laws are being
livestock.
followed.
But yeah, and have them
Because,
actually regulated. But
yeah, because who has more personhood than those animals? The corporations.
yeah, for real.
Like, corporations have personhood,
Right, legal
legal
personhood.
personhood. and they
And
are
they're not
treated,
even alive.
they're not even alive. And so, you try to change the laws to make, farming more ethical. Like
Mm-hmm.
you cannot you can't castrate pigs with no anesthetic, but they do it anyway. Like
Mm.
you make a law for it, and what are you going to do? Like more people have been charged with trespassing, filming the
Right.
atrocities that happen in these places than corporate persons have been fined for the atrocities committed.
Uh-huh.
And that seems like such a ridiculous notion to me, to where like people get in trouble for exposing awful things more
Mm-hmm.
than people doing the awful things get exposed.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's, well, why were you looking? Shame on you.
It's like if I were to break into your house and I'm there to steal stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I witness you committing a murder, like brutally murdering your entire family or something, and I call 911 from inside your house and they show up and I get the death
You get,
penalty.
yeah, because you were breaking and entering.
Yeah. And that's what it seems like, you
Right.
know, for all these animal activists that go into these places and view these horrors
Mm-hmm.
and are punished more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But I don't know.
Yeah, there's an I mean, this is a very broad topic, the
True.
personhood of animals.
Right.
And what we've talked about so far has mostly been the lack of personhood for animals.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to do my best to not turn this into a giant vegan
I mean, it is
speech
what it
fest.
is. It's
But
Autodidactica. It's whatever we want it to be.
yeah, I'm very aware of like where I stand
Mm-hmm.
on the personhood of animals. Um, but that's not even entirely true, because we've already discussed where is the line,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I guess I struggle the most. Is like where do we draw the line, and how would the line be enforced?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because how do we, that's one thing. Like Happy the Elephant, I think a couple of years ago was a case going on where animal rights activists were trying to have the elephant removed from the zoo. And there are only two elephants there. If I'm remembering and not amalgamating, there were only two elephants left in the zoo, and they weren't even in the same pen. Like they didn't have contact, much like they could reach their trunks across, and sometimes they did. And so the activists are trying to say we need to take Happy to a sanctuary for elephants to be with other elephants. And the zoo is saying, no, Happy should be here in the zoo where she has always been with the people that she is comfortable with. She's not in a place with the other elephant because they hate each other. They do not like each other. That other elephant killed Happy's friend, and Happy remembers it. That's why they're separate. It's not that we're mistreating them, it's that they prefer it that way. Um, and so there's arguments on both sides. Like, who does have the right to represent Happy's interests? Like I guess everyone's going to always, animals will always be in a custody battle, because that's really kind of what it would come down to. It's a custody battle. Do the activists have the right to remove Happy? Are they actually speaking in her best interests
It's like
to have
Airbud.
her removed? Or is it air? How's it like Airbud?
Well, because you got the clown, because they did a trial
Oh,
for
that's where
Airbud.
that
Yeah,
we'll
and
go
then
down
they
in
did,
legal history.
yeah, they did the test where, let's go out to the yard and we'll let Airbud decide who he wants to go to, the
Uh-huh.
performing clown douchebag guy, or the
Yeah.
basketball playing, Chad. And
Right.
you gotta, how much do we let them decide for themselves?
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, I'm reading about Happy here, and you
Well,
know, one of the things is that the zoo director says that Happy is sufficiently happy where she is.
right. Yeah, and that's their argument. These are the people who hopefully take care of the animal, like we would assume. Happy is well cared for by these. That's what they do.
Right.
Because nobody's saying she's being abused other than I think than just being isolated and I don't know what I was
And so
gonna
yeah,
say.
it is, it is largely like a custody battle.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
we as humans have taken on the mantle of being custodians of our world.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is our responsibility to properly tend to the flock, which is basically everything we view to be beneath us.
Yeah, true.
And, you know, all of the animal kingdom and all of the plants fall under that because we as humans are quite arrogant in
Mm-hmm.
our intelligence. We have cultivated the world to our liking, more or less,
Yeah.
and it's our job to take care of everything in the
Mm-hmm.
way we see fit, and we have constant disagreements over that. Like I'll never be one of those vegans who throws pig's blood on people as a show of activism,
Right.
because that is just downright insane.
A little bit.
But I will, also never be a person that, because you mentioned trophy hunting,
Mm-hmm.
and like most trophy hunters, like the meat of the animal still does go to somebody who wants to eat it.
Right.
But simultaneously, that person is displaying psychotic tendencies
Yeah.
because they literally just want to kill something.
Right. And have a picture with its dead body.
Yeah, and that is,
Hang its horns or its head mounted on their wall.
yeah, that is like psychopath 101.
Mm-hmm.
Person likes killing things.
Uh-huh.
I mean, those would be the same people if a purge was ever enacted that would go out hunting people.
Yeah, they would.
They would be the first ones to do it. They would love it. And I'm sure, select people around the world, do engage in human sport hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Those are horror stories for sure that don't often come to light, but there are some dark corners of the world where I'm sure it happens. And those people are, those dentists who go to Africa to hunt lions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's a few of those dentists who have been approached and be like, do you want to do the real hunting? I know a place where you can hunt these kids that I caught in Thailand. And yeah,
Oh,
so
jeez, that's dark.
yeah,
It's
and it's a common trope in horror movies for sure.
mm-hmm.
I mean, it was
Oh
even
yeah.
it was even
Like
in
what?
Star Wars Clone Wars,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
and
The one with Chewbacca?
yeah, the one with Chewbacca,
Yeah.
and those, if there's stories about it, it probably happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the most dangerous game.
Yeah, exactly. And so, we set ourselves so high above the rest. And yet, at the end of the day, when we talk about, that's why I was like, the personhood of animals is more like the personhood of non-humans, because if we, it's human arrogance that differentiates us from
Mm-hmm.
animals.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. We're animals. And to say that offends some people, it's a scientific biological fact. We are animals.
Yep, we
That's
are born from the same, uh, what do you call it? The same primordial soup as
right.
everything else on this planet.
Right. Like cows are our cousins. Literally. Very distant.
Quite distant, but we are part of the same animal kingdom.
Right. So I don't
So
know.
we have all this personhood, and we are the ones establishing who does and doesn't have it. And
Right.
it's I
And
think we've made progress.
oh yeah, I think we have definitely made progress,
There
but
is an
we're
endangered species list.
yeah, and there
There
didn't
is
used to be.
no, and there's a whole hierarchy. Other species have been brought back from the brink. Many
Mm-hmm.
more have been lost forever.
Right.
Like I think, what is it? Like white rhinos are like gone.
Yeah.
There's like
Are they?
one
There's
male
one.
left,
I think there's one left.
but they have no hopes of reproducing because there's none left.
Right.
None in the wild that we
Mm-hmm.
know of. There have been small cases where a species thought to have been lost has been found again.
Right. Right. It does happen.
But the more we encroach on the wild, the less
Mm-hmm.
likely it is that there are still white rhinos out there, and
Right.
they're like, like most of the tigers are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Most of Almost all of the lions are gone. Not as bad as the tigers, but still pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then countless lesser known species are just gone
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's scary to me. Like we're in a mass extinction event.
all the
Pretty,
time.
and it's like, you know, where's it gonna end? I don't know. But it's like we're not taking care of our world when we're not taking care of animals the way that we should, like respecting their space, like more than, I mean, like whales for one are a good just because, and even elephants, like things that can pass the sentience test that we know are really intelligent. We could treat their little pods and groups the way, like, as, I don't know, I don't want to say sovereign nations, but kind of like they live by certain laws and we respect those laws, but we don't treat them as pests.
Right. And it's hard to stop, with our human expansion.
Yeah.
We can't, like a great example of this is, and forgive me, audience, for pulling so much on my vegan knowledge. I'm not trying to make this a sermon, but I have over the years armed myself to the teeth, ready for bigotry. Um,
Right.
but but I also have, as a now freshly 29-year-old, um, I also have gained much perspective over the years to understand certain things that, like, animal rights activism can only go so far in terms of geopolitical um, fairness. Like, and to get to my example, the Amazon rainforest,
Hmm.
the largest rainforest on the planet, and one of the biggest hotbeds of biodiversity that
Hmm.
we have ever known. Um, a lot of it has been cut down. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that,
Right.
we are constantly encroaching on it. And I say we, but when I say we, what I'm really talking about is like Brazilian citizens.
Hmm.
And I am not a Brazilian citizen. I don't make my living down there.
Hmm.
I don't have a family to feed and those sorts. I'm not a government official down there. And so here I am sitting in my cushy couch in Texas,
Hmm.
telling, or causing outcry for Brazilian citizens to stop doing what makes their living. That's the sort of perspective that I've gained over the years. But most of the leading cause of deforestation in the Amazon rainforest
Hmm.
is livestock raising. So
Oh,
that's the
right.
vegan standpoint is, the more people that go vegan, the more the less that we have to destroy the rainforests to clear it out and make
Hmm.
room for cattle, because that's what it
Right.
largely is in
Right.
Brazil. They're clearing the rainforest to make room for commercial cattle raising.
Hmm.
And it's easy for me, like I said, to sit here and condemn that.
Hmm.
But with more humans and more mouths to feed, that demands job creation. And that job creation is often raising food for those mouths to feed.
Hmm.
And so, it's hard to like we're talking about the distinguishment between, you know, humans as animals and other animals as animals. When we before we recorded this, you mentioned, you know, prey animals. You know, we
Right. Like a bunny.
like a bunny. You know, the thing is with bunnies is they're not going anywhere. You know,
Right.
like how much personhood are we allowed to give them? Because bunnies have, you know, I don't know what they call them, litters. It's not litters. I don't know what
It's
batches. I think it might be called
yeah,
batches.
maybe. They have so many kids. Like I think
There's a euphemism. If
yeah,
it's got
no,
a
for real. No,
euphemism,
but
you're probably good.
like I'm hoping I'm remembering this number right because when I did my short story, The Briar Patch Evangelist, it's about a rabbit that's a television evangelist. Like at one point, I did the research. How many children do rabbits have? And it's in the dialogue. They're like, how many kids do you have now, Peter? You're like about 350,000.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
geez, yeah, that's a lot of kids. Rabbits, yeah, they're prey animals. That's what they are. That is literally what they do. They get eaten by foxes and
Yep.
coyotes and wolves and bobcats
And they can have as few as one and as many as 12 in
in a
one,
batch.
and they're called litters.
Litters. Okay.
I'm learning. They're called litters, and they can have between 1 and 7 litters each year. The
Jeez.
average is 3 or 4 annually. So that is between um 3 and 48 rabbits a year from one rabbit. And I don't know when they reach
Wow.
sexual maturity.
Probably about immediately. I
Yeah,
mean,
probably
they
about a
only live
month.
4 years if they're
Yeah.
lucky. 2 to 4 years, I think.
Uh
Most of them don't
yeah,
make it that far, I think.
their females are ready to breed between 6 and 8 months,
Hmm.
but some may start breeding even younger. So yeah, you have 12 kids, you know, let's say an average of 6 to 8, and you know, let's say half of those are female. Well, each one of those in 6 months can have 6 to 8, and then six
Hmm.
to eight months later, they can each one of those females can have 6 to 8, and
Right.
it just
Jeez.
the bunnies have
Hmm.
evolved to have tons of children because they are prey animals.
Yeah, they're just little chicken nuggets hopping around the forest. That's how everybody
Yeah.
sees them who
Fun
lives in the
fact:
forest.
baby rabbits are called kittens.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Female rabbits are called does. So they're just stealing uh, labels
What are
from
male
other.
rabbits bucks?
Yeah, I don't know that. Let me see, because that would be hilarious.
Yeah, we need to know. We need to educate ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, what's the proper way to identify or how to, what are your pronouns, male rabbit? I'm a buck. I'm betting on buck. But then again, they have kittens. So I don't know.
A
Buck.
stud. But yeah, it's called a bug.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
Stud would have been my next guess because let's keep it all mixed up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's just not stick to anything.
Buck.
That, that's funny.
We've learned something today.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully you all have too.
I don't know. And it's just like, I mean, I guess we're kind of way off the legality topic with this, but intelligence aside, just the way that other creatures behave and experience their lives is really like I don't know why ours is more valuable, I guess. Like, and that I do think they have, like we said earlier, they, even though I don't remember if that was before we started recording or after, but just that they aren't just running around eating and being eaten. They're living these experiences just like we are. And like I always go back in my head to like this bee had its leg stuck under one of my windshield wipers and it was struggling to get out and it couldn't. And so I went over and I lifted up the windshield wiper, but its leg stuck to it. So I got a little leaf and tried to push its leg down and got it free. and then it flew off, but then it got right in front of me and just did this little happy little happy little dance in front of me. Like I can't, it was clearly doing a dance, and then it went away like all happy. Like it did a happy thank you dance. I feel like I was legitimately thanked by a bee expressing gratitude because they do communicate with dance. It's like I couldn't understand what it was saying, but it kind of came across
Right.
because it wasn't coming trying to attack me. It didn't immediately just fly away. It
It
came
was a
right
very
up to me, did a
conscientious
dance.
bee.
Yeah. So
And it
I
was an
don't know.
individual. So,
Yes.
not every bee may have thanked you, but
Right,
that one
exactly.
did.
Yeah.
And that's what, we use, because you say like we as humans are the ones determining what's as smart as us or less. Like we use it as a metric. Dogs are as
Hmm.
smart as a 2 to 3 year old human.
Yeah.
It's a metric, and I mean, you go to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and dolphins are the ones that view us as the morons,
Right.
and they're the true rulers of the planet.
Hmm.
And they may look at humans and be like, "Wow, they're as smart as a 2 year old dolphin,"
Right.
because of the different ways. We as humans want to give a metric, we want to give a label to everything,
Hmm.
and you know the dolphins metric may be more or less, how much are you destroying everything around you,
Hmm.
in which case humans are morons. Like, we are the pests to
Right.
most things on this planet.
Yeah, and that's what I worry about with visitors from other worlds is being regarded as the pest, as the locusts on
Yeah.
this planet that are destroying it and all of its resources.
Yeah, the day the earth stood still.
Oh yeah.
You saw that movie.
I saw the Keanu Reeves one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't seen I want to see the original because my mother really loved that movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen the original either or read the book.
I haven't, yeah, me neither. No
Yeah,
book.
I vibed with that movie quite uh hardly.
Hmm.
I don't know, that's not a very good word,
That's
but
very yeah. That felt a little I have the best words.
yeah. I mean, vibed and is, a Gen Z word
No,
anyway.
not that. I think I don't remember what you said.
I
That
vibed
wasn't the word.
hardly.
Hardly. That was what it was. It wasn't
I vibed
vibe that I
hard,
was being a
but
Nazi about. I need to.
yeah. But yeah, no, I'm looking at a list of animals that have passed the mirror test.
Hmm.
And we got Asian elephants, the great apes,
Hmm.
uh I don't know how to say that, bonobos,
I think that's how you say it. Or bonobo.
chimpanzees, orangutans, gorillas have all passed the mirror test. However, it isn't uncommon for many individuals to fail, especially if they are particularly young or old.
Mm.
In chimpanzees, there is evidence for self-recognition in about 75% of young adults. This percentage lowers with individuals closer to either end of the age spectrum. Bottlenose dolphins usually show extreme interest when they catch sight of their reflections. They will
Hmm.
open their mouths, stick out their tongues, and make a series of novel movements while observing themselves in the mirror. When marked, dolphins regularly inspect the marking. Orca whales, Eurasian magpies. Eurasian magpie is the first non-mammalian species to pass the mirror test. When contrasting colored stickers were placed on their feathers, the magpies reacted to their reflections by trying to remove the mark. Birds who were marked with invisible stickers showed no altered behavior.
Hmm.
Um, so ants. In
Ants are
2015,
fascinating to me.
scientists published research that suggests some ants can recognize themselves when looking in a mirror. When viewing other ants through glass, ants didn't divert from their normal behaviors. However, their behavior did change when they were put in front of a mirror. The ants would move slowly, turn their heads back and forth, shake their antennae, and touch the mirror. They'd retreat and reapproach the mirror. Sometimes they would groom themselves. The ants were next given a
Fascinating.
classic mirror test. The team of research would use blue dots to mark the, oh, that's a word, Clypeus, the clypeus of some of the ants,
Yeah, I don't know.
which is a part of their face,
Okay.
near their mouths. When in an environment without mirrors, the ants would behave normally and wouldn't touch the markings, but this changed when they could see their reflections in a mirror. The ants with blue dots on their face would groom and appear to try to remove the markings. Interesting. So promising candidates, manta rays.
Hmm.
When it comes to fish, manta rays have the largest brains.
I didn't know that.
This fact led Dr. CSILLA, Dr. Ari, to suspect that they might be the fish species most likely to pass the mirror test. When she exposed captive manta rays to a large mirror, they showed great interest in the reflections. The rays would repeatedly swim in front of the mirror, turning over to show their undersides and moving their fins. When in front of the mirror, they even blew bubbles and unusual behavior. What the rays didn't do is try to socially interact with the mirror image.
Mm-hmm.
All of this suggests the rays might recognize it's themselves they're seeing in the mirror, not
Right.
another ray. Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, this whole subject is a fascinating thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is, like, from a legal, because I was doing a little research on what a legal person is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically anybody that can be sued or sue somebody.
Right.
And so from a legal perspective, most animals can't communicate with
Which is why,
other animals.
yeah, which is why they would need a guardian to be their representative.
Right. Especially in the society that we've established.
Mm-hmm.
Murder is bad in our society.
Mm-hmm.
Murder is a way of life for other societies in the
Right.
animal kingdom.
Right. That's because you look at like their different instinctive drives and their priorities. They have
Social
different,
hierarchies.
yes, that's dogs, bees, ants, elephants, they
Lions.
all have different cultures. That's kind of what that is. You look at it, you would look at a tribe, an uncontacted tribe would have its own culture, or you make contact with any group of people you've never met. Everybody has different cultures and values based on their particular historical needs and experiences. So animals are the same. It's different. Like, so that's another thing, like murder. So if a cougar murders a golden retriever, is that murder if they're, you know? But I would say no, it's not, because
Right.
it's culturally like, and their territory, like, what is that? It's, if the dog wanders into the cougar's territory,
Yeah.
is it okay to go hunt down and shoot the cougar?
Right.
Or is that a no-no because the cougar was, like, in Texas, if you break into somebody's house, they can shoot you.
Right. And they don't have any established borders
Mm-hmm.
outside of their territory,
Right.
which they have marked with P, which is how we should start doing things. Not really, but some people do that.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, I just tell them to put on some deodorant. But yeah, please don't start marking your territory with P. I just walk into your room, I'm like, what the F is that smell?
It
You've
just,
entered my
everything starts
territory.
dripping.
Yeah.
And I jump at you with a fork and a knife because you entered my territory.
Yeah, hopefully we don't devolve to that.
I like pee on stuff in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
These
Or you
are
just
my
lick
water
everything.
bottles.
Yeah, these are mine.
I could rub my head up against
But
it.
yeah, like lions, they, male lions are constantly murdering each other, their brothers, fathers, and sons. Because that's the way it works for
That's
them.
the way it works.
And so, if a lion murders, it's all bets are off whenever humans are hurt. Because this lowly beast harmed this child.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's find that beast. Let's go on a hunt for that one and kill it. Like
Yeah.
in like 2014 or 15, there was a shark attack in like Bali or
Hmm.
something, so some part of the Indian Ocean, and it like there had been several, like a string of shark attacks,
Yeah.
and the local authorities organized a hunt for that shark.
Hmm.
Well, they found a shark and killed it,
Hmm.
and all of the marine biologists that examined the attacks and the now dead shark were like, yeah, it wasn't this shark. But with
Interesting.
so, who
Sounds like,
represented that shark? There was
yeah.
no stopping the human authorities from finding a scapegoat and executing it.
Right, and saying problem solved. That's exactly what they did in Jaws. And
Yeah,
the scientist was like, that's not the shark. And the politicians are like, oh, but yeah, it is. Go away.
because tourism. That was
Exactly.
the exact same reason for the
Uh-huh.
authorities going after this particular shark, going after any shark.
Hmm.
Now, they did put forth an effort to try to find the shark. Like, they consulted with these same biologists who determined that they
Hmm.
got the wrong shark before they went for a shark to say, what kind
Yeah.
of shark are we looking for? And they still got it wrong.
Yeah. I imagine it would be pretty hard to try, unless it's one of them that had been tagged and released previously.
Right.
It
And
would
it
be
wasn't.
really hard to find a single particular shark, line them up, do like the
Yeah.
police line up with sharks. I mean, it's very unlikely, I would think, that you can find the shark.
Yep. And they never did, you
Hmm.
know, because all the people could give, the biologists could give the authorities was a, we think it's a tiger shark.
Oh, see, yeah, that's not enough evidence to execute
And
someone on.
if it is a tiger shark, it would be about this big.
Yeah.
And so they just went out and found a tiger shark that matched the description, killed it, and then upon further examination, they're like, oh, it was actually a bull shark.
Hmm.
And it probably wasn't even the same shark for
Right.
each one of these things. Because, yeah, I think that episode of whatever show I was watching on National Geographic determined that the main cause for the string of attacks was bull shark mating.
Hmm.
And so it was basically all the hungry mothers coming back from birthing during a particular time of year that
Hmm.
happened to get too close to human recreational water areas.
Yeah. Bull sharks freak me out though.
Yeah, fresh water. They can
Yeah,
sw- they can swim up rivers.
and they're mean. Do they give live birth?
Yeah,
Okay.
and
I
I think
always
most sharks do.
I always assumed that they did, but I don't know why I assumed it. I must have thought, like, picked that up somewhere in a documentary. Just forgotten it.
Yeah, and they're very aggressive
Hmm.
because of um I mean, they're less aggressive than tiger sharks. Tiger
Hmm.
sharks are referred to as the trash cans of the ocean because they will literally eat anything. They've been found with anything you can think of inside their stomachs,
Right.
like cans, bottles,
Hmm.
shoes. They're like American police. It's eat first, ask questions later. But
Yeah.
um, a little bit of liberal humor for you.
Yeah, I'll try to not make out with a tiger shark.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a good idea. Um, well, do you have anything else to
No,
add to
I
the?
am about spent.
Yeah, like there's not much else to say on the topic.
No, I can't. I've already rehashed like the same thing twice,
Oh, oh, good job.
or
A
I
refried.
added different points to it, not a
Yeah,
complete rehash. But
right.
any further, I'm just gonna go back
Right.
and start talking about orcas again or something.
I like talking about orcas though.
Yeah, we'll
Like,
do
see,
a
I
whole
could
episode.
I could talk about any of those things in tangents that would just leave the topic completely behind. So
completely.
so that's probably when like everything I think to say is a tangent, it's a spin-off to this point, then it's probably time to wrap it the heck up.
Yeah, a relatively short episode, and I suspected that because we are
Oh
going
yeah.
to. It's either going to just tangent off for 3 hours,
Yeah.
or we're going to say what needs to be said about the personhood of animals,
Right.
which is that it's not really a thing right now.
Uh-huh.
It is one of the one of the many frontiers. I guess that's what I could say is that there is there are different levels of like frontiers as far as rights are concerned. We had the civil rights movement, and we've had the gay rights movement. We're still experiencing all of these things simultaneously. They're never truly
Mhm.
done. Um, and then there's all sorts of rights movements out there. Immigration, immigrant rights, and then
Right.
we've got trans rights, and animal rights has always sort of been there, but because they're not human, they
Mm-hmm.
do get pushed to the bottom of the pile at any given
Right.
Congress meeting or anything like that. It
Mm-hmm.
is, humans first, animals second, every
Right.
single time. And that's sort of infuriating to someone who has been on the animal rights fight for so long, because you can't just say, well, why are we focusing on the gay rights so much?
Uh-huh.
Why are we focusing on the civil rights so much and racial equality? Because you can't say that. You can't
Right.
diminish the other rights movements because they
Right. It's
are, how do you say, righteous movements.
right. Like they're good causes and they shouldn't be focused on less. It's that animal rights should be focused on as much as those other things.
Right.
They
There
should
needs to
be,
be a
yeah.
discussion.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be a
It's
part
not an
of the discussion.
instead of, it's an in addition to.
Right, but anything in Congress is always an instead of.
They try to make it that way. They want to
There's
polarize everything. They want to,
Right. Well, I mean, there just really is only so much time on the dockets. Every
right. That's
time
true.
there's only so much time that we can be in session.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why, it's a very slow bureaucracy, because you know, it takes forever to get anything done.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah,
just
and they
just
just
on
do it
things
by
that need to be
design.
done.
Like they'll just try to sabotage bills all the time with, oh, well, we want you to add this. I guess you'll have to go back to the committee and redraft and stuff. Too bad we can't vote on it today.
I have to do it
That's what a
next year.
lot, yeah, that's what a lot of it is, just pushing it out so they don't have to vote on it, because it's like one of those things where there's a clear right and wrong, and they know that if they vote for the right thing, it will be political suicide to their moron constituents. And if they do the wrong thing, it'll be political suicide in the media.
Yep.
And so they're trying not to vote. Like a lot of stuff is just them trying not to vote on things. And why would they care about animals? They'll just tell you, oh, the liberals want to take away all cheeseburgers. When
Yep.
it's like you're just asking for cows to be treated humanely
Humanely.
as,
Yeah.
yeah, taking away all the cheeseburgers.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that would be the my last sort of point, is that in the battle for animal rights, which includes the personhood of animals, it
Mhm.
is often just shoved to the bottom of the pile. And it's something that's been going on because there's been animal rights activists as long as humans have been, you know, in newspapers posing with dead lions.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, there was no need for animal rights activists with the Native Americans hunting buffalo,
Hmm.
because there was a reverence, there was personhood.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, any of the research I've done for novels and such, you find that they treated animals like dogs and horses very reverently. Some of them questionably, like in their reverence, but oh well, this guy died, so we're sending his horse with it.
Oh,
But
putting down the horse
yeah,
with them.
but not all of them did that. But the horse generally was treated very well.
Yeah,
Um, and the dogs were treated like, then you find in antiquity like that Rome and Greece, like there were laws about treatment of dogs. And so yeah, there've always been, as long as we've had animals, as as we've interacted with them, there have been ideas about how to treat them, I
right.
suppose. That's how some of them became pets and some of them remained prey.
And
Um,
many of them ended up as nuisances.
right, that's what I was about to say. So yeah, it's interesting.
It's a long battle, and it's not done yet. Won't
No,
ever be.
nope.
And someday we may be on the receiving end of that.
I know when the aliens come and like they're so intelligent, they have the capacity of our 2-year old.
Exactly.
Like this little astrophysicist over here can do what Timmy can do.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh, look, they're
Timmy
doing little
basically
science
just learned to
projects.
tie his shoes.
Yeah, yeah. He just
Yeah.
oh, they just learned about anti-gravitational flight. Timmy just did his fourth grade science project on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much it on
Yep.
Person of Animals. But please, if you watch the YouTube version of this, which goes up a week after the podcast, leave comments. Tell us what you think about this topic or any of our other topics. Next episode,
It's gonna be an interesting one.
yeah, yeah, and you might want to do a little fun homework if if you're so inclined. Like, you don't have to, but
Yeah,
we're
because
gonna
we'll fill
be,
you in.
yeah, we'll fill you in. But it's a manga series slash anime series, Tokyo Ghoul, and we're gonna be looking at how it works as a bisexual metaphor.
Good times.
Yup. So if you want to check out that anime, where is that streaming?
That is streaming on Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll and Hulu. I believe it is still on Hulu.
Okay.
Most people will probably have Hulu already rather than Crunchyroll. So it's on there, both the Japanese version as well as the English dubbed version. And yeah, so we've watched the whole anime, including the
RE.
RE, which is sort of a sequel saga. So it started off as a written work, Tokyo Ghoul, and
Mm-hmm.
then the author created Tokyo Ghoul RE, which is a continuation of the story, and a whole Tokyo Ghoul it's 3 seasons, I
Mm-hmm.
think totaling around 50 episodes for the whole thing. So first season's 12, second season's 12, third season is like 24.
And
And
so we're just going to be focusing then on the first
the first saga.
season.
Yeah, the
Was
first
it
saga,
one or
which
two
is two
seasons?
seasons.
Okay, I thought it was
So the
two
first the
seasons.
first 24 episodes.
Right, so that's what we'll be focusing on.
Right.
We're not going to get into RE, right?
Because
That's what we had said.
that's pretty much we may touch on one or two things here and there, but
Mm-hmm.
they'll probably likely just be examples that support our argument of the metaphor,
Yeah.
not necessarily major plot lines or anything like that. And we'll have to try to avoid just telling the whole story of Tokyo Ghoul, which is
But
easy for me to do.
right, but at the same time, like, we'll have to see how much it's necessary to break down the metaphor and why it's cool, why it's powerful, I think,
Right.
as a metaphor for the bisexual experience.
And you know how much it goes over people's heads,
Right,
because it went over
exactly.
mine.
Right.
But it
Right.
hasn't gone over everybody's, because
No.
you mentioned it and then I looked it up, and there was a blogger out there somewhere that caught
Hmm.
on to the same thing.
Okay. It's surprising that more people haven't.
Right. Well, it's an experience not shared by many.
True. True.
But yeah, so that'll be next episode.
Yeah.
Should be a fun one. This is your fair spoiler warning. We'll do another one during the
Right,
episode.
we will. We will.
But
And then they'll weeb out.
yeah,
We'll
yeah,
weeb
they'll go
out
down the rabbit
shades of
hole.
purple. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I guess is that I'm too like high apparently to
Yeah, no,
functionally close this out. Whatever.
so yeah, this is usually where you do plugs
Oh,
for
plugs.
yourselves.
Oh yeah, I'll
Uh,
plug myself. If you want to
yeah,
read my writing, check out a backlog of the videos
or
from
his wronging.
or my wronging, my writing and my wronging for certain. All right, my author website, glensladeclarkjr.com. Um, that's pretty much it. I mean, I have a new short story out called In Wine Lies the Truth. Um,
Good story.
hopefully by the time this episode drops, I'll have another one out called Metronome's Death Match. But yeah, it's all on the website. You can check out my writing. Um,
Sweet.
and Matt's OnlyFans
No, no,
is
it
no.
hasn't gone up yet. I gotta figure out how to make it to where I can do it, but nobody knows it's me. And the more tattoos I get, the less likely
All
that
right,
that becomes
right.
a scenario.
True. Oh
But
well.
it's a work in progress. And that's a joke, everybody.
Yeah, I know, right. In case.
For the time being.
All
If this
right.
economy gets any worse.
Right. Like next Tuesday.
Yeah.
All you, me, and Chase all have OnlyFans go. That'll be weird. Be weird. All right. Speaking of personhood, I would get OnlyFans for my dog.
Hey, you cannot say that.
What I would like, it's not porn. He is naked, but like,
Well, then you just
I
do
think it would be
a
funny,
freaking
like just
Patreon
show
like
him
everybody
wiggling his
else.
butt or showing his little furry feet.
You got to get something. You
And
got to
then,
do a subscription site with a little less of a sexual connotation. Then,
I guess, but then it's not as funny.
yeah.
All right. But I guess
All
that's
right.
an that's an episode. So next time, Tokyo Ghoul bisexual.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.